Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to North Central Park here in New York City, in Manhattan. In our effort to cover every notable neighborhood and part of New York City, we are coming to do a whole video on everything you need to know guide about Central Park. Central Park is the largest park in New York City. It's 840 acres and 2.5 miles from the north to the south, and today we're going to be walking the whole distance of it. So before we start this adventure, I want to remind you guys to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single video from this series, because we're covering every notable neighborhood in Manhattan, every notable neighborhood in Brooklyn, all the other boroughs in New York City. It's going to be a crazy adventure. We have a lot to do today, but before we start, we got to roll that intro. So our adventure for today begins in 110th Street here in Harlem. This is where Central Park's Harlem part begins. I just wanted to start right here because this is the 110th bridge. It's a really cool arch that you can walk under that's part of the park, and there's some cool icicles that are growing there. I'm gonna have to be kind of snippy today because we have a lot of places to cover in the park. So we're just gonna keep walking around in the northern part of Central Park right now and show you guys all the cool spots. All right, so we got a few notable areas right up here at the top. 110th Street going along the north of Central Park. So the area right behind me right now is kind of declared as the North Woods. So it's kind of like a piece of forest that's just in Central Park, just secluded from the rest of the park. Super undeveloped. It's just a full-on forest inside of the park itself. As well, the beautiful thing about Central Park is because it's so big, some parts of it are truly like wild. There are rumors of foxes and other types of big cats that live in here because it gets so wild, quote unquote. And there's just tons of really impressive geological features, like giant boulders and rocks everywhere, giant hills to climb, beautiful trees everywhere. There's just so much to see in this park that it would take, honestly, I think a lifetime to explore it if you want to see the whole entire thing. All right, so this awesome body of water right here is known as the HARLEM MEER. It is one of the 7, I think, notable bodies of water in Central Park. But this thing is a MEER. I guess it's a type of body of water. I don't want to pretend like I know exactly what I'm talking about here, but it is a beautiful little lake thing to come look at. We're just gonna make a quick stop here because we got other places to see. But one thing that is known about Central Park for people, they come from all over the world to come birding here. And birding is kind of like a thing that people do to come see birds from all over the world. Just over there, there's some Canadian geese, and you got a bunch of different types of ducks in here. So it is definitely a cool place to come hang out if you, I guess, want to see some wildlife. All right, so another notable spot up here in the north of Central Park is called the LASKER RINK. This place is open from November to March, and it's an ice skating rink. Like the many you have in New York City, it's another nice place to come and check out. Just as a little bonus thing, I just found this out by Googling it. This place actually transforms into a pool in the summer. So if you're looking to take a swim and you don't want to just go ice skating in the winter, you actually come swimming here. As well, over here you have Nutter's Battery. This is another cool architectural spot here at the top of Central Park, and you actually have an amazing view of everything here in the north of Central Park, including the MEER and parts of Harlem. It is a really cool view to just come to the top of. Something I highly recommend checking out. Another historical landmark here in the north of Central Park, we have Fort Clinton. It's a baby fort. It's not a very big fort. It's got a few cannons on top. It's pretty cool. Most of the appeal of coming up to here is that you get an amazing view. Like, check this out. This is so awesome. You have such a crazy view from the top of the park here. And there's just so many things going on. Absolutely incredible. And I feel like the north part of the park is a little overlooked because a lot of the main attractions are in the south of Central Park, but this is definitely something you don't want to miss out on. I can imagine on a nice summer day, this would be an incredible place to come chill. All right, guys, welcome to the Ravine. I'm in a part of Central Park right now that literally feels like you would not be able to tell that I'm in a city. It just feels like I'm in the middle of a forest. To think that I'm smack dab in the middle of New York City right now is a little crazy, but yeah, this is the Ravine. It's a nature preserve within Central Park. We're walking to this cool formation / architectural site right now, but I came across this by accident on my maps. Apparently there's a little waterfall in here too. I don't know if I'll be able to find it though because it's winter time right now, and I shouldn't be able to hear it because the water should be frozen. So no hopes on that, but nonetheless, this is really cool. Oh, I found it, never mind. So I found the waterfall. It's actually really cool to be standing next to a waterfall in the middle of New York City. As well, there's a bunch of cool little rock bridges here. So just on the case of if you're coming to New York City for Instagram posts, this might be your location, guys. Amazing, the waterfall just stretches out and then it comes down to this little place, which is called the Huddlestone Arch. And it's got a bunch of rocks on it and it looks super prehistoric and cool. And that's it for this area. We got one more little cool spot right here, and then we should be done with the north of Central Park. The natural beauty of this place is really breathtaking. I gotta say, I'm very, very, very impressed. It's just so, it feels so wild and so naturey, and feels like you're not in the middle of New York City, which I currently am. I still have to remind myself that. Guys, look, it's Mr. Squirreliums. Come here, little squirrels. Look how cute this guy is. Oh, he's in his log. All right, so our last spot here before I get sidetracked and keep finding cool stuff. This is the GLENSPAN Arch, and it's rightfully named because it is the arch that spans the Glen. This is the Glen, this is the arch, and it spans it. So it's very cool. It's actually probably the most impressive thing we've come across so far, I think, architecturally at least. You got like this little cavern in here, even like an extra room. It's just so cool. And another waterfall that spans all the way down here that reaches to another waterfall. There's this beautiful water down here. This is so, so, so impressive. I think that's gonna be the end of our journey here in the north of Central Park. And now we can begin heading into more of the action-y, less relaxed bits, more civilized parts of Central Park. A small little honorable mention here. Just so you know, there's like 5 or 6 baseball fields in the middle of Central Park. This is right below the part, I think that's considered north of Central Park, to where it turns into like Central Park. So just so you know, quick shout out. There's baseball fields. They're closed right now for the winter. I think they open back up in the summer season. So there you go. We have made it to another area. This is the Jacqueline Kennedy Reservoir here, another one of the big bodies of water of Central Park. As well, you can kind of tell the area has shifted slightly. Now we can start seeing Midtown. We can probably see kind of the edges of the real big buildings of New York City. You can even see the Empire State Building from here slightly. So briefly, I just wanted to mention this part of the Upper East Side. This place is called Museum Mile. And it's basically because it's a mile filled with museums. The Upper East Side is an area that's a little more relaxed, a little more pedestrian, I guess a little more residential. I didn't feel like I could make a whole guide about it, so I'm just looping this in as part of the Central Park guide because it's so close to Central Park. And I just wanted to mention some 3 notable museums here on the Museum Mile, even though there's a bunch more. The Smithsonian that they have here, they have the Jewish Museum, and the Guggenheim. These are all museums that you definitely want to check out when you're here in the Museum Mile area of Central Park. In addition to all those amazing museums, of course, the most notable one, which is the Metropolitan Museum of Art, also known as the Met, located right here on Museum Mile, really close to Central Park. So we're just looping it in, something you definitely want to check out. All right, so one of the things I was hands down most excited to see when I came here to this part of Central Park, because I've never seen it before. So this is the Met, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which we've already walked by. It still continues into Central Park because it's so freaking big. But can you see that right there? Look at that giant tower with hieroglyphs on it. That is an ancient Egyptian obelisk, and it's here in the middle of Central Park. So a little clarification as to why there's an ancient Egyptian obelisk in the middle of Central Park in New York City. So the name of this thing is Cleopatra's Needle. I don't actually think it has anything to do with Cleopatra, but it was gifted to New York City by the country of Egypt in the 1800s. And it was actually transported a few times around the world. So this thing is from Egypt. It is currently the oldest structure in all of New York City. It is 3,500 years old. It is crazy, and there's just hieroglyphs tattooed into this thing all the way to the top. It's absolutely magnificent. Such a cool thing to find in New York City. Like, you would not imagine it for it to just be out there in a park. This is amazing. So I was actually going to take you guys up there, which is a place called Belvedere Castle. Unfortunately, it's closed for restoration right now. Out of my control, but it is a spot you have to visit in Central Park from what I've understood. It's free. It's a castle inside of Central Park. It looks amazing from here, even though it's completely covered in scaffolding right now. It still looks really cool. It's mounted on these beautiful rocks. So something you gotta keep in mind when you come to Central Park. I wanna make a point to mention this as well. Right on the other side of the park where I am right now, near this area, is actually my favorite museum on planet Earth, American Museum of Natural History. It has the largest collection of dinosaur fossils, I believe, in the world of any museum. It is amazing. I highly recommend checking it out. I'm including it in the Central Park guide because it literally is like right on Central Park. So definitely something you want to check out. I'm not going to actually go there right now because I'm deep in the middle of the jungles of Central Park, but we are walking towards another destination. All right, so another kind of natural conservancy area here in the middle of Central Park. This one's actually really close to the Museum of Natural History. Is called the Ramble. The Ramble is like a protected area with animals and plant life. Obviously now, because we're in the middle of winter, there's not much going on here in a sense of nature, but it is a beautiful walk to be able to take because it's just surrounded by wildlife, plants, animals, birds everywhere. and you're still in the middle of the city. So it's super, super awesome. Man, for me, walking around here is just so wonderful. It's like all these little hidden spots here in Central Park. So cool, like these little arches and a bunch of ice on the ground that I might slip on. It's just such a cool area to come and explore because there's so many different little paths here, and each one leads to a completely different area. Wonderful little sculpture that we have here is the Alice in Wonderland monument sculpture thing. It is one of those 29 statues slash monuments, and it's right in front of this really cool little water pond, lake. I think it was called a conservatory. I think that's what it was on Google Maps, but a really cool location nonetheless. Awesome statue. Time to hit the next location. So what we have here are the Bethesda fountains, terrace, and arcade, which are all part of the same kind of system here. It's a very touristy spot, very famous area. So as you can see, beautiful ceilings, super amazing old looking architecture, something that's just absolutely incredible, as well as the fountain standing right in front of me, reaching out to that lake. It's just absolutely gorgeous here. Super amazing place to take pictures. There's even a couple getting their wedding pictures done right here. So yeah, this Bethesda area is quite impressive here in Central Park. Another wonderful spot to check out, the Bow Bridge. This is another architectural feat of Central Park and a wonderful place to come take pictures. Not too much to say besides that, it's just a bridge, so come check it out. So this part of Central Park is a designated quiet zone, and it is called Strawberry Fields. It is dedicated to John Lennon, who passed away here in New York City. And, well, I shouldn't say passed away, he was murdered. But this whole area is kind of dedicated to him. And you're supposed to stay quiet here, no musical instruments, no anything. It's just supposed to be a quiet zone. Alrighty, so the area that I'm walking past right now is called Sheep Meadow, and that's because they used to raise sheep here back in the day, a very long time ago. But I should have some footage of this place in the summer when I was here a few years back. It's a place that lots of people just hang out in. You know, you'll have people just lying down on the grass. Right now, unfortunately, because it's wintertime, it's closed for the season, so I can't actually walk on out there. But it is probably one of the most picturesque places in Central Park. It is that giant green lawn that everybody knows about, where you get beautiful views of all the buildings in front of it. And there's tons of really cool rocks and stuff. Just definitely a place that you have to check out springtime, summertime, fall time, before they close it up for winter season. 100%, I would highly, highly recommend Sheep Meadow. All right, so another beautiful architectural feat of Central Park. We have the Dairy. This is another tourist attraction you can come into. They got a visitor center and a gift shop, and it is definitely worth visiting. It looks super, super old. I'm not gonna head in there just because I'm getting quite exhausted, I'll be honest. I've been walking around Central Park for the last like 5 hours. All right, guys, so this is called the Mall. You might be asking yourself, what's so special about it? Well, it's actually the only straight path in all of Central Park. It's one straight line that goes all the way down, and it's filled with beautiful trees that are obviously kind of dead right now because it's winter, and some awesome statues. So it's a place to check out. It's definitely picture worthy, but one of the most amazing things about it is that it's that straight line, and it's the only straight path in all of Central Park. It was designed to be the only one, and it's super, super cool. As well, there's little plaques by every single statue, so you can read a little bit about the people that are there. So right here is a monument to Balto. I've actually heard about this thing for years. Balto is a dog who's really, really, really famous in American history. I actually had a book on this guy when I was a kid, and I think there was an animated movie that came out as well. I used to be a very big fan of this dog. I don't remember the story exactly, but he pretty much helped save an entire village, him and his entire team of sled dogs that carried this one, I think it was medicine to a village. I can't remember the exact details, but I've heard about this monument for years, and to actually come and see it for the first time is really exciting for me. Right, another really famous site, if not the most famous site in all of Central Park, is the Central Park Zoo, the one the animated movie Madagascar was based off of. This is probably the most famous zoo in the United States, I would say. Maybe besides the San Diego Zoo, which is huge, but Central Park Zoo, it's right here. I've been before. I'm not a huge fan of zoos nowadays, so I don't really go ever, but it is an amazing zoo. They have a snow leopard there, which is really cool, and penguins and stuff. So, all right, so another famous body of water. This place is called the Pond. Very basic. It's probably the most famous body of water too, because it's so centrally located here in the south part of Central Park. So there's so many great places to take pictures, and people probably come through it all the time. And as well, there's a really beautiful bridge and some awesome wildlife and stuff to come see right about here. We are getting ready to wrap it up. We only have one location left. Alrighty, last place right by the pond, and the beautiful bridge that crosses it is the WOOLMAN ice rink. It's a nice ice skating place. It's open here during the winter. Beautiful. And we're done. Those are all the spots for Central Park. Now we're gonna bounce off and cover the food. All right, now that we've reached the end of our Central Park tour, if you watched this whole thing and you were wondering, hey Tal, what if I get hungry while I'm exploring Central Park? Don't worry, I got you, boo-boo. We are going to cover some of the places that you can come eat here in Central Park. So first one is right behind me. It's called MAOZ Vegetarian, or MAOZ, I guess you would say it in English. It's a Hebrew name, so I have to say it with my Israeli accent. They're based on like the falafel, hummus, kind of like vegetarian type food. They're not open right now. It says they're open on Google Maps, but they're not actually open right now, so I don't know what exactly is going on with that. But there's a couple other food spots in Central Park that I'm gonna show you guys. But this would be one of your better spots to start off here in the north of Central Park. Alrighty, so food spot number 2 are the various carts that you'll be able to find through Central Park. They're actually located everywhere, but they'll be in most of the, where the majority of the population centers are meeting, so near the museums and then southern Central Park. But you have stuff like this. You'll have a bunch of different meats and nuts, candies, whatever it is. In the summer you'll have ice cream, so it just depends, but keep an eye out if you want food that's more fast go and cheap. Look for those carts. They're all over Central Park. All right, another food spot for you guys here in Central Park. This is the LOEB Boathouse restaurant. It is I think a restaurant and a bar, and it might be a little higher scale, a little higher class. So if you're looking for something a little more expensive, you can come here. It doesn't seem to be open, at least not in the outdoor section of it right now, because it's wintertime. But inside, it's a fully functioning restaurant, everything you want as well. You can rent boats here, I think, to kind of paddle around in this little lake pond that's right by the restaurant. But it's waterfront, so that's cool. And it's another great spot to come and eat. Another food spot we have here is a little cafe. It is called La Pine Coudetine. I don't know how to pronounce it, it's in French. It's a little cafe right by the waterfront. It's another wonderful food spot if you want. I heard the prices are a little outrageous for what you get, but it is another food spot nonetheless. All right, another food option that you have here in Central Park. This place is called Tavern on the Green. The green is in reference to the sheep's meadow that we're right next to, and that's why their little emblem has some sheep in it. But this is way more of a fancy schmancy upscale restaurant, way more expensive, but it is another option for you if you want some food in Central Park. All right, another food spot here. I think this should be the last one for today. This place is called the BALLFIELDS Cafe. That's because it's right in front of some baseball fields. It's closed right now. I really don't know why. All these places say they're open right now. I'm assuming because it's winter hours, they're probably operating on a different schedule. But it's a small little cafe where you can get some small little foods, finger foods, and it shouldn't be too expensive. So nice little spot to come check out, and that should be it for food. We are done with food. We are done with the locations. That was an intense day, I gotta say. I've been up literally running around Central Park since 9 a.m. It is now almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Word of warning, don't try to cover it all in one day. I think it'd be way too difficult. It was a really strenuous day with a long walk. That being said, like all these guides, I keep reminding you guys, just pick and choose the things that you like from these guides and create your own kind of guide for New York City, your own kind of creation that you'll visit in New York City. And I want to remind you guys now to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single episode, because we're literally covering every notable neighborhood in New York City, and then we're going to do a whole encompassing New York City guide. So there's a lot more information coming about this wonderful city. That being said, we're going to end it here. If you guys want to support this channel, you can buy some merchandise. The link will be on the screen right now or in the description below. Get yourself a hoodie. It'll keep you warm for the cold New York winter. And we'll see you in the next one. I love you guys a long time. Goodbye, Clats.